Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Geek First review. I am the pod maker, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
Judo Master, Kirkland Patzer.
I'm the Vigilante, Taylor Field.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't guessed by the title or the nickname, well, you know what it is, because you know what that means. We are here to review Peacemaker, episodes 1 to 3. A little bit later, we had a busy week. You can check out the vodka stream. All three of us on that. We had a good fun time, but that kind of took up some of our things. We're busy, but we're like, okay, we're going to do this, and I think I know the answer, but I'm pretty sure we'll be doing weekly reviews. I'll be interested when we get just one episode, because sometimes there's not a lot of content, but it's a lot of just funny stuff, but you know that's what we're here for. Dexter's over, so we need something to fill the void. And man, we moved from Dexter to Peacemaker, which is not a bad thing. It's just such a pivot, and you think about what Peacemaker is versus what Dexter is. Even though
You're completely forgetting about Boba too. I mean, rightfully.
Well, no,
so,
we were doing Boba while we were doing Dexter, right? So Boba hasn't left. Where
right.
Dexter, our Sunday night slot, will now be filled with a Thursday
You're
night
right.
slot.
Yeah,
so
that's the handoff there.
Yeah, we haven't fully discussed it, but I think what's going to happen now while Peacemaker's on, we're going to be doing news on Wednesday, and then Peacemaker will drop on the Friday. And yeah, so Taylor, when we're making these schedule changes, when we're putting out new content, new reviews, because this week we got a juicy week coming up, we got a Moon Knight trailer, we got a Boba Fett episode that I promise you I will be on because I want to talk about Boba Fett, and then I think this week we'll be recording the MCU Golden Geeks, the first ever for 2021.
Ooh.
Taylor's seen Eternal, so this week's going to be a very fun week. I got a Scream review dropping later on. Taylor, where can they find that all?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. Geekverse.ca is our home base. Geekverse cast our Twitter, Geekverse on our Facebook. And be sure to check us out on the Patreon.
Yes, be sure to check us on the Patreon, because that is the best way to listen. And not only is it the best way to listen, by supporting us there, you create more content like retrospectives, like comic versions, and things like After 9, which is returning next Saturday, January 22nd. It's going to be 6 p.m. PST. And then, so if you are the Phase 2 tier higher, you call in, and we're going to have a fun time because we did not get to in December, so we're going to catch up with hopefully as many listeners will join. But either way, we have some fun topics, I think, to discuss, and we have lots of movies to discuss that we haven't talked to the patrons about. So you want to do that. And then when you join that as well, you get ad-free episodes, you get early episodes, you get exclusive episodes, you get to send in questions, just the whole kit and caboodle. So what else was happening coming up? February 5th, the new levels here, new year, new level, stuff like that. It's our first Geek First Gauntlet event of 2022. Wow, we're there. We do 5 events a year. The 5th event ends the year, obviously, as the charity stream in November, so that's kind of like our Super Bowl, our WrestleMania, but now this is to start the build-up. So the main event is going to be mine and Kirkland's delayed sports title match, and then we're going to have in the undercard Taylor versus Dylan in Halo Infinite in a match that I'm very interested to see, because it was Dylan's idea. He threw out the challenge, but Taylor's been very calmly cool about it. So I don't know, and I've actually not, we're the Wolf Wars back, we're team champions. I've actually not talked to Taylor about how he feels about it personally. So you ready? You got about 3-ish weeks, something like that, till the big event.
I feel like I'm pretty, very confidently ready. Any off chance that I have, I know we usually dabble in, Call of Duty, but any free time I have, I've been actively trying to play and, really gear up playing Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I've been playing, the competitive aspect. I've been playing a lot of different game modes, and I've really been diving deep. Not only that, just the campaign, which I know Dylan has not played in, so I feel like he's actually been not engaging in it too much. I know he asked me if I'm playing with, a mouse or keyboard or controller. I told him controller, so I don't think he's going to be up for the challenge.
Oh, wow. You hear that, Dylan? You hear that? Rattling his bones.
That's crazy. Yeah, I was going to ask Kirkland how he felt about his match, but I didn't want to bum everyone out on the cast. I'm talking about how he's going to lose so badly. So we'll talk about that another day. But what we're here to talk about, links down below. Everything you have, our audio feeds, our video feeds, our podcast network, all the Geek First 4 separate feeds, our Discord, everything like that. So go check it out. Lots of fun times to be had, and we thank you very much for your support. But now we're here to talk about Peacemaker. This is a show that I don't like. It's just funny. I love the podcast, because do you think a few years ago I would have been saying that, we're going to be reviewing a Suicide Squad spinoff directed by James Gunn starring John Cena about a character that many of us, you two, didn't know and I knew very little of? No, but that's where, fandom can take us and everything like that. So, Taylor Field, I want to start with you, because I feel like out of most people I've talked to, you I think are on the lower side of the Suicide Squad, James Gunn. You even had the hot take of saying that you enjoyed the first one, and that's more blasphemous than almost as blasphemous as thinking Kirkland's going to win in a couple weeks. So you think that you have, like I said, some maybe lesser thoughts on the movie. So how is this series hitting you so far, John Cena? We got 3 episodes, and we'll go in overall how we feel at 3 episodes, and then when we get into spoilers, we'll just do a free for all and talk about anything. So just how do you think about these 3-episode drop?
I quite enjoy it. I think it's like over both Suicide Squads. I thoroughly enjoy it much more. As far as like
Wow.
James Gunn projects go, it's definitely not my favorite. But
Why do you laugh?
say
Why do you laugh all
I
over
say
the
that
place?
I say that because like Guardians of the Galaxy, I would still put above this easily. But
I would hope so.
yeah, but for me, like out of the Suicide Squad projects and just the comedic kind of trend, like I really like it. I like it a lot, and there's certain aspects. Yeah, what's up?
Do you because this is a spin-off of Suicide Squad, you're counting this in like the Suicide Squad universe, right?
Yeah,
So maybe this is a hot take. Do you like this more than Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey?
yeah,
Whoa!
I do.
Son, that is a hot
Blasphemous.
take. Yeah.
I would go back. I would rewatch this. Like I haven't gone back and rewatched Birds of Prey yet.
I just got the
since I
Blu-ray
saw it in
today. You can
theaters.
borrow it.
So there you go. I just a lot of the humor in this it does make me laugh genuinely. And again, like we talked about prior, like some parts I genuinely feel like, oh god, I shouldn't really be laughing at this, but I am. And then other moments that it's just I don't feel like the humor is being forced on me. It's just it rolls off the tongue with the way they're doing it. And John Cena is just an actor that he does the same kind of humorous role in so many of his movies. And I feel like he's just embraced what he is and what he can deliver, and he just executes it. And every time he just gets better and better and better at it. And this is just no stopping him. He's just going all out with this kind of aesthetic that he's just taken on in this portrayal of this character. And just kind of seeing his dynamic and his relationship with everyone else is really funny, and just learning a little bit more of the backstory. I didn't like Peacemaker that much in the Suicide Squad, but I'm actually happy to see this kind of change part. I love Polka Dot and Ratcatcher. Those are my go-tos in the Suicide Squad. I was all about them. But to see this continuation and see the change and turnover in this storyline for Peacemaker, yeah, it's cool. I'm excited to get into spoilers and kind of dive more into like the characters and the connections, because like Vigilante, I thoroughly enjoy Vigilante.
Which is so funny because with your tweet earlier, he's like one of my like lowest points of the show. So when you said like, oh, you and me have a Peacemaker Vigilante dynamic, I'm like, oh, that seems very similar, as Vigilante's one of my lower. So maybe this came up on an After 9, but I don't think, because the first time people were probably going to hear about this was in Golden Geeks in a couple weeks for overall 2021. But because the show came out, I imagine we're about to hear Kirkland's thoughts on, you never talked about the Suicide Squad because you were away when it came out and you waited quite a while to see it. So what did you think of the Suicide Squad? What did you think of Peacemaker overall? And then what do you think of the episodes we got?
Yeah, so first off, as you mentioned, I hadn't seen Suicide Squad till I think I honestly watched it like around Christmas Eve or something. But I was at DC Fandom and watched the trailer for this, and this like sold me on the show. Or sorry, the trailer sold me on the show before I had even seen Suicide Squad. So I already knew I was pretty like positive on at least the character, or at least some sort of comedy that was coming from the character. So and then it also helped I had only really heard good things about the Suicide Squad, so I was pretty optimistic going into it, and I really like Suicide Squad. I had lots of fun with it. The comedy was great. I think Peacemaker was he wasn't as like integral to the Suicide Squad as I was expecting, just from knowing that he's having his own show and like watching the trailer. I thought he was gonna be like a main guy. He's not like the most in the background character, I'd say, in the Suicide Squad, but he's not like Bloodsport like I thought he was going to be or something. But just that one line that he dropped of, what does he even say? I'm chasing peace. Doesn't matter how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get there. As soon as I heard that line, I'm like, oh, this is just ridiculous. And then what ensued with him just absolutely demolishing that entire village of people. It was great. I love the character from that point on, and yeah, so that was great. And going into the show, I think it kind of caught me off guard because it was a little bit different than what I was expecting. Um, it yeah, just without spoilers, I think the comedy. I don't even know if I can say majority of it hits for me. I think it's honestly like 50-50. Some of the comedy just really doesn't hit with me, but then some of the other comedy just sneaks up on me and I like laugh like really hard, and it kind of fools me into thinking that I'm laughing at every joke in the show. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of an interesting dynamic there, but all in all, I'm definitely over 50% on the show. Definitely a thumbs up on it. I it's just a fun time. I think John Cena is so great in the role. Um, vodka stream. I was drinking, so I don't remember what everybody said about it. I feel like someone mentioned that if John Cena wasn't like totally into the show, it would kind of be difficult to watch. And I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that sentiment. I don't not remember who said it, but someone said it that evening, and I definitely agree with that.
It might have been
John
Scott,
Cena.
but I don't want to give Scott any credit because he's a
Yeah.
bad man. So.
I'll just put it on Travis. I think Travis said it.
Of course, everything good you hear comes from this guy's mouth.
Yeah, but honestly, at this point, I don't think I've seen something with John Cena in it that I didn't like him in the role. Trainwreck, Blockers, like those roles are just so great. You're gonna mention like the Marine or something, and I haven't seen.
No,
like,
everyone
the
always
fucking
forgets
WWE
Bumblebee,
movies.
where he's not.
Oh
good
yeah,
in
that's
that.
right. He
Yeah,
was
like,
so bad in that.
I didn't
Oh.
want to rain on the parade in vodka stream, but same thing. People were listing things off. It was when Dave was interviewing Steve there, and I was like, who was on in Peacemaker? He plays what's the guy's name? Who's one of his
Steve G.
handlers? No, I know
Oh,
the character name.
Economos, something
Yeah,
like
something like
that.
that.
was
Go
his
check
last
out the
name.
Vodka Streamer on. Dave interviewed him, and he was bringing up all these roles about like how he always does funny things, and it is
Yeah.
true for the most part. And Bumblebee, he is funny, but it's just I felt like that was. Like I said, he was in the Michael Bay movies, while Haley Steinfeld and Bumblebee were in a different movie. That's the only
Yeah.
one where I went, I don't know.
Yeah, no, again, you totally brought that to light, and part of me wishes you didn't because I completely forgot about that. He was definitely the worst part about that entire movie. But other than that, I've liked everything I've seen him in, and this is just another great version of the character. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. When we get into spoiler, I'll deep dive into some specific things that happen. But as of this point, I'd probably give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, so for me, I'm really enjoying it so far. You can go back. Obviously, I was the only one that reviewed Suicide Squad. Hashtag, Travis the man. But anyways, I was a big fan of what they did with Peacemaker because I liked John Cena enough as far as just pretty much the first half of the movie. Like, okay, he's going to be arrogant. He's doing jokes. He's a show off. Cool. John Cena can do that. He's funny. That's always the best type is when you get him in these type of roles where he can just be funny. I think he's a fine dramatic actor, but I think if you look at something, I think we liked him enough in it, but look at Fast and the Furious. I don't think John Cena gets to shine in those type of roles. I think you kind of cut off his charisma from the knees. The second it's like, okay, you got to be the bad guy. You got to be serious. You got to be really deadpan. It's like, John Cena, whether you liked him or not in wrestling, he's a very charismatic guy, and I think this gets to show that. So that's what was great about Suicide Squad. But spoilers for the movie, they give you a fucking recap when the show starts, which I really really like because it's strange. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was talking about it was Hines. I don't think we confirmed it, but I think this is technically the first like TV show of the DCEU, and it's just so funny how Marvel is doing Disney Plus and all this stuff, but this is the first one that there's multiple characters that tie into that DC universe that started with Man of Steel, which is a funny thing, and I like seeing that because I'm somebody that when I say I want DC to be like Marvel, I don't mean I want the same type of movies, I want the same formula, I want the same type of directors. I just mean I do want a world where I love the spin-offs like Joker and the Batman, but I do actually want a world where there's a big universe. I want one time DC to have their endgame moment where we're in the theaters like, fuck, look at this is crazy, this is awesome. Like I want that big build up. So even just the little stuff in this show, Jesus, phone, it just jumped to like it got a life of its own. Even the little connections in the show is things I appreciate, which is I don't know if that was a DC call or that's what Gunn already had to do with Guardians quite a bit, right? But even with the Suicide Squad movie, he tried to connect things. So I like all that. But John Cena, he gets to thrive. I think John Cena, above all else, I like many things of the show, but him being so bought in and him just going 110% on this character is what makes it work, because he's an outlandish, sometimes hard to like character, and I think that doesn't make a bad show, because you can have many movies or TV shows about characters that aren't good people, but when you have someone just so cocky and so arrogant. And I knew when I was watching this that Taylor, you made that tweet, and I knew people were going to compare me to this fucking guy. I just knew it when I was watching the show. And you know what? That's an after 9 conversation. But Peacemaker was kind of the main villain of Suicide Squad. Yeah, kind of. I think he was a villain B, and what going into that was, but thank you for the comment, Super Bad Mike, was I loved the turn that they had in Suicide Squad, because I just thought, oh yeah, he'll be a part of the team, and whenever they turn good, he'll be around them. But the whole idea of I will kill every man, woman, and a child to get what I need to do for this country to save people, I will do it. And he does not fray from all. He kills Rick Flag, and that moment, when he turns, it's great when he's scary, but when that moment happens, and they showed in this show of like, oh, what a joke. Once the show happened, or we knew about the show, but once I saw him, he was like, okay, there's a lot of interesting things you can dive into this character. And that's why I like that there is tons of outlandish stuff. You've seen the trailers. There's a CGI eagle, there's crazy type of villain scenarios, there's sex, there's drugs, there's rock and roll. But at the core of it, there's a character struggle from a heart perspective of what does this guy do. This guy, a minor spoiler, obviously he survived what happened in Suicide Squad, and he kind of feels like maybe he has a second chance and maybe he should do things differently, but the whole point of his life is not to do things differently. He should stay on that track, and that's what I like the most so far. And there's some jokes that I might Kirkland where I think it's like, I'll give it credit, maybe like a 60-40 that it hits, because I feel the jokes that hit though are really funny and I absolutely love. But then there's jokes, and I talk about this vodka stream, like the butt baby joke. I don't find it funny at all. It doesn't hit at all. But then there's something right in that scene that's going on, and I just burst out laughing, which I'll shout out in spoilers. So I think jokes wise, I compare it to a stand-up comedian or an SNL where it's they're throwing stuff out and you're gonna laugh, you're gonna not, but then they throw so many jokes out, you're already moving on to the next joke if that one bombed, and then if you got 2, then it's double and you're laughing. So. And James Gunn, I like the majority of his work. I liked Suicide Squad. I liked Super. I liked Sliver. Guardians Galaxy 1 and 2 I consider like some of the best MCU movies. And I'm liking this so far. So, again, we talk about this on Vodka Stream, but the opening credits of this show, I think you know if you're in or out. The second those hit, and I know people have said, oh, don't just base it on that. I don't just base it on that, but you definitely know, okay, this is going to be very tongue-in-cheek. I've compared it to the Harley Quinn animated show. I've compared it to Family Guy. Other than Deadpool, other than the fourth wall breaking, it's definitely Deadpool light, where it's just like, there is jokes that are very inappropriate, and jokes, or even things that are said where you go, oh, can they say that, or should they say that? And there's just like a certain character introduced with Peacemaker that he has an interaction with, and how they pay that off. It's just like, man, this is not stuff I was expecting in this type of show. So I will say it's a very unpredictable show, and I'm looking very forward to see where we go. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. At the end there, I'm going to talk about, hey, Peacemaker is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. But every Thursday when I boot up, am I going to have an enjoyable time? I think so, and that's kind of all that matters, and it's a fun start to the comic book world of DC and Marvel. Not the way I thought we would, but anything non-spoilers we want to talk about?
No.
Nope.
All right. Well, going once, going twice. So we were going to take our first ad break. So if you've not seen the 3 episodes, even though they've been out for a few days, bow it now and come back. And if you have, then enjoy the ride. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So where do you guys want to start with Peacemaker, episodes 1 to 3?
I don't know. I was gonna just say right at the beginning, just get on with the bullet in the neck.
Classic Kirkland thing. I wanted to say this here. So S-Bubs, I meant to show you your comment earlier, but I wasn't sure if there were spoilers. I was truly shocked by at least one moment each episode, but so far I love it. I think we all agree with that. There's not one episode that doesn't have something, even if it's a couple things. I'm like, wow, they did that. And you said at the beginning, let's start with this because Taylor really liked them. I'm mixed, and I don't think you shout them out in your non-spoilers, and I'll show what S-Bub says. I like that Vigilante is an annoying guy you're kind of friends with that always tags along, but you don't dislike him enough to make him leave, even though I know someone like that in real life. I think we all know someone like that in real life. It's like the classic I love the Dane Cook joke where every friend group has a friend that they just hate on, and if you don't know who that friend is, you're that friend, and that's the thing where so here's the thing. I think you're 100% right about Vigilante, and what I think he's written well, and he's supposed to be annoying. He's supposed to kind of get a rise out of you, and 100% he feels like a a Deadpool knockoff. I agree. Even his voice sounds like Ryan Reynolds. But the thing is, for me, it's just that when when they try to go for comedic stuff, that's pretty much just his jokes. That stuff doesn't work. Like that one sequence when he was dancing in the parking lot and the guy caught him. He's like, "What's going on?" Oh, like I gotta go pregnant, but we're getting an abortion, so I'm really excited. I didn't. None of that played for me. So it's just like I like the idea of I think Vigilante. I think we're already seeing might butt heads with Peacemaker and eventually be like a mini type of villain maybe and just go too far. But the comedy side, that stuff's not playing for me. But Tiff, you said you love Peacemaker, or sorry, you love Vigilante.
I mean that abortion joke was definitely, it was cringing. And
It went on for long. It went on for
did.
a
It went
on
on for
long.
long.
Yes.
I hadn't connected the dots yet that was Vigilante. I was trying to figure out what was going on, but yeah, no, it just when he just appears in the suit, like I just find it really funny how he's just the whole dialogue of like, no, if I turn around, you're gonna have your dick out and everything like that. I was laughing at that, and he's like, no, just look at my dick. I don't have it out and everything. And the whole appliances scene was really funny, and I don't know what it is about his character. Yeah, he is ruthless and he does kill, but in your defense, like when I was making the comparison earlier, like, yeah, like I'm the guy who's having to change your heart, and you're related to the guy that's humming as he does atrocious things. In my defense, he was humming, but he was killing aliens, so I think that's justified.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't know the full story on this. We don't know if they could have been saved. But the thing is, it's not that, okay, they are aliens, but he's doing it so kind of not carelessly, but with no remorse that these are an alien that's taken over a child's body. And he's like, oh, boom, like I could understand shooting them, but this is just like a walk in the park for him. Like he has no remorse whatsoever for killing potential children.
Mm-hmm. He's I mean, he doesn't like weed apparently. Like I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't kill anyone about for not for doing weed, but I mean I don't do weed, so there you go.
If you would have smoked that 2 years ago, I would have fucking killed you.
Yeah.
So where are you on Vigilante, Kirkland?
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but more so to the positive side on the character. I think definitely not all of his humor hit for me, like you guys mentioned, the the dancing outside scene. Initially, I'm like, okay, this is funny, and then it's gonna end in like 2 seconds, but it went on for like 25 seconds, and it was very much drawn out. And I thought we were gonna get like something from that scene, but it was just it wasn't really anything. It was just him being goofy, and then it goes back to the diner. It's not like he interacted with any of our main cast or anything. So I just thought that was very strange. And yeah, definitely not all of his lines work for me, but I also feel like that's part of the character. Like he shouldn't be like a super likable character. I feel like he should be one of those, kind of like what he is, of just like you like him enough to not push him away, but also you don't like him enough to really bring him into the main posse. But I think majority of humor that worked for him was like what you guys mentioned, not like his own lines, kind of like how he handles a line thrown at him or a certain situation. Like when he shows up in episode 3 just in the woods, I just thought it was hilarious. He just showed up, in his vigilante mobile. It's like, what? That's your Sebring? And then like all that stuff worked for me. I really liked when he just showed up actually when John Cena was just crying in his bed. It was just like, because that's the first time we've seen Vigilante, right, in the show. Other
than when he was demasked with the abortion joke, like.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that was just for me. That was just a great like introduction, and then like their dialogue back and forth right there. It tells me that it's not like John Cena just absolutely hates this guy, because he's actually like talking to him. And yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle, mostly on the positive side though, on that spectrum.
That scene when he was in the window, it gave me flashbacks to John Cena's blocker scene when the reverse, like they're talking about dicks and John Cena's the one in the window and everything like that. And, and that scene was interesting because I feel if you look at, we're getting the complete 180 for Peacemaker, right? Where Suicide Squad was like we were saying, he was the, I'm going to do whatever it takes to kill these people, whoever they are. And then even Rick Flag, who was a hero, he felt bad about doing it. And then we see the other side where we start to see some of his origins. But even that crying scene, you start to see that kind of, and I think this is a good thing, kind of maybe how pathetic this character is. Like he's just met, like, everyone hates me and I'm a failure.
So good.
And it shows like it's a complete 180 of where he was in Squad, where he was so confident in his actions. And whether it's just what Rick Flag said, whether it's just wear and tear, because when he got out of that hospital, it didn't seem like he had any intentions on like, we don't know what his intentions were, but he wasn't right away like reporting for duty. You know, he went
Yeah.
to his dad's. He wore that costume just because, like, or sorry, the uniform. He wore the uniform because that's the only thing he had. And then they found him. But it's like, I wonder what would have happened for Peacemaker if they didn't go get to him. You know, would he have just lived a normal life or lived something of a normal life or reconsidered? And then once you meet his dad, we talk about this Chris Vlogger stream, but it's like, first you're okay, he's going to be the inappropriate joke teller. But as that continues on, you go, oh no, he's more than just inappropriate. He's abusive in like an emotional way. He's, which we'll talk about later, he's clearly like a huge mega racist who does like a lot of terrible things. And you start to see of why Peacemaker might be the way he is as far as unlikable, because he probably grew up with his dad. I imagine his mom's not around, and his dad so far has been nothing but unlikable. So stuff that even seemed a little over the top is filling in like the color box for Peacemaker being a complete asshole. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I loved that type of reveals for the character of Peacemaker that we're getting because, like I said, just seeing the trailer, I thought it was just going to be a wacky tale of him and Eagly just like solving crimes and just killing bad guys. And as soon as like that scene happened, it totally took me for a 180. But I'm also down for it because it shows more layers than just the character that we saw in the Suicide Squad. And yeah, no, that bed scene, like him just like laying down there, he just bursts out crying. He's like, Diebeer could have been my friend, but you just push him away like you always do. Like,
Yeah.
and again, that's just John Cena, like just being the peak of what he could do for the character. And I
Yeah.
think those moments are really, really what carries it for me. And I think if we just had that, that would have been enough for me in the show. But also this whole storyline with the butterflies is starting to be really interesting. And I'm positive going forward. I didn't mention it in the non-spoilers section, but I actually like these 3-episode like releases. I like the 2-episode when we got that for WandaVision. It allows you to just have like a less serious first episode and then end off like episode 2, or in this case episode 3, with like some good plot stuff and some more serious things going forward. Because if you just have a comedic first episode, people might be like, oh, this is what we're getting for this show, and then just have like that, you can only have one good impression, or like only one chance at a first impression, and then when you have 3 episodes you have a little bit more leeway in that sense. But no, I like the decision doing that because the first 2 episodes seem a lot more silly than episode 3. Episode 3 has some of those moments, but it's mostly focused around the plot, and yeah, it's just nice being able to spread that throughout 3 episodes.
Plus, like, you almost get like 3 first impressions because, I feel most people, if it's there, even if you're not really digging, you're like, well, the other 2 are out, so let me check it out. Because
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of 3, if you're really not enjoying it, then you go, okay, I'm not going to come back to this show. But after 3, you would know whether you like it or dislike it. And, again, I still think the end credits or the opening credits are kind of that barometer as well, which I love. I absolutely love because when it opened up, I was like, okay, I know we're going to get something wacky with James Gunn. But when that happened, it's like, okay, it's just even a step forward of what I was expecting, just how deadpan serious it is. That song's been stuck in my head ever since this stupid show has come out. Don't mean stupid show, but this is a song and like the moves they're doing and everything like that. And I do really like the 3-episode drops. I'm down for more than the future. Amazon does that. I think Disney might end up doing that with Moon Knight coming up, just because I think it's going to overlap with Kenobi. But Taylor, we talked a lot about Peacemaker's origin. So anything there, and then anything else you wanted to go on?
Yeah, his his origins. It's cool to get that kind of dynamic with the father and everything like that, or with the White Dragon, I guess, and just seeing like how shitty of an upbringing he probably had, and just how that's kind of reflected into who he is now. His relationships just with the characters is just absolute shambles, and he just feels alone. And again, when I doubt maybe he'll come back, but just seeing that first relationship with
The
janitor.
dad? Oh,
No,
the
the janitor.
janitor, yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of sets us off on like, okay, this is him in the show. He's having just for the started part of the show, at least, he's having just very mediocre, basic dynamic relationships that aren't anything meaningful, I guess. And this is going to be him kind of striving to have that, because he thought the janitor was much more than friends. The janitor's like, we just smoked weed once, and that's it. And so it'll be him kind of finding connection and going through this show, getting that. And it'll be interesting to see if he kind of has any kind of reparation or repair to the relationship with his father. I kind of doubt it, but
I feel like it's the reverse of how he keeps looking for approval of his father. I think it will be the not needing approval and pushing away from him, because that's what, when you're talking about the janitor, I love that stuff of it. At first it was like, oh, is this just a joke when he mentions that everyone thinks he's a racist superhero? Because when he's like trying to describe all the things, like this is what he does, and he says one thing, he's like, oh, you're that racist guy. He's like, no. And he starts talking about the statistics of all the amount of white people he's killed versus anybody else. He's like, well, okay, I'll try better. And that's where I feel like you see why those rumors are, because that's probably spawned from his dad. But I think that's the thing where I think he will push away from his dad. I don't see his dad having a turnaround. I don't see his dad kind of getting redeemed or being like, oh, you know what? I think my son could be right. Maybe, but I think that is much more of a long con. So yeah, I think that's going to end in a them versus each other situation instead of them working together. And the janitor, I don't know if he'll come back. I feel like because he's in the opening credits, he has to have at least a couple more scenes. But maybe Gum just wanted a character from every episode or something like that. I don't know. Hindsight, I will fight anyone to the death to protect Eagly. And I think most of us are majority on that, because anytime you got an animal sidekick and it works well, I'm down for it. I love that. That's like a sucker go-to of just, it's cool. And again, it's one of these things where it works in the show, but even in the DC universe, it works, because look at the universe they've set up now. You have a man that talks to fish. This is Superman. They made Batmite canon and stuff like that, and that's where Gunn likes to do these really random stuff. But Eagly, I think the amount they're using him is perfect. He comes in for a good joke, for a funny scene, but he's not being overly used. I'd be fine if there is one episode where Eagly isn't in a lot, but you don't want to use that punchline too much. There's lots of times where Eagly flies away and then he doesn't come back to the end of the episode, and something funny happens, like he sticks his head out of the window and the tongue's out and stuff. But I think he's being used amount, and we all like really stress this on the vodka stream, that the CGI for this bird is out of this world, and I'm very happy about that, because, and maybe it's just because the rest of the show doesn't have too much CGI. I know like the butterflies probably will, but those are pretty minute, very small CGI things, right? So I don't think you have to do them much, but I'm very much digging the Eagly of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, the CGI helps so much. If it was really bad, it would be unfortunate, because every time he'd be on screen, I would kind of cringe a little bit. But fortunately, he looks great, and I want to see more and more of him. That scene with the hug was just absolutely fantastic. Another scene was when they're driving the car and he's got his tongue out the window. Like that's just fantastic. Yeah, that's awesome stuff, and I just love his relationship with Eagly. It's great.
Tell you all about Eagly.
Oh yeah, I really, really am. I think he's a very cool character. Yeah, the CGI is very, very incredible, and I know we saw the scene in the trailer, but when he just wraps the wings around John Cena, he's like, "Dad, get my phone." I was loving it. I was laughing, and he's just when I can't remember her name, but the lady who was like going on the parking lot after they had their meeting. Adebayo, is that her name?
That's her last name, Adebayo.
Okay.
I forget her first name, but
when she goes up, she's like, "Oh, is he friendly?" And John Cena's like, "Yeah." And then, like, she reaches her hand out and bites her. It's like, "Oh, I thought you said it was friendly." "Yeah, to me." Yeah, it's just so good.
And he's like, but he still likes you, because he would have bit harder if he did.
Yeah.
Leota is her first name. There you go.
Okay.
And that's Waller's daughter, right? Which was yeah. And that's where I knew Waller was going to be in the show, because I think it was rumored, but just kind of talked about as well. Of like, that's an easy one. Even the way they did it, it's fucking Viola Davis somewhere in an office, somewhere on a Zoom screen call. Very easy. But again, that's stuff that I like, because it connects to the world that we have, whether whatever happens to it in Flashpoint coming up in a year or so. I like that it's little stuff. I actually really, because some people have been, I think it was on maybe Marvel Alliance, we were talking about this, of what if someone, for the Marvel movies, what if you had like a recap before it plays, so people that weren't caught up know. And I actually really liked the recap they did with Peacemaker, because it's just one movie, but still it makes it so if anybody's not seen Peacemaker or Suicide Squad, it catches them up real quick, or it might get them interested in the show. But again, I like Waller's in there. I like that as we're talking about Vaga Stream, this is not the same origin for Waller, but her having a daughter in here makes it interesting. And I like that it's Waller's still kind of, the Nick Fury of this universe, but much more harsher and much more untrusting, and she's keeping an eye on the situation, what's going to happen. Because as we talked about before, whatever the situation is, at the end of episode 3, that fucking screen was lit up, and this is much more than just a couple families infected. So I liked Waller's use. So how do you guys feel about, obviously Waller's not in much, but the idea of Waller's daughter kind of being in there as a spy? Because I also feel like the other characters clearly don't know that that is her daughter, because they kind of badmouth Waller quite a bit around her, right? So
Yeah, I like it. Like they've already stressed just how like no one can really trust each other in this squad right now. And then just having an insider, that's related, like the most loyal to Waller, I guess you could really get if you're blood related. It's just a fun dynamic, and yeah, I don't know. It has some more meaning to this character that could easily have just been a side character that's just, dropping some lines. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Again, I had a hunch, but I was kind of surprised that they would have brought Waller in here. The daughter,
so early too.
Yeah, so early. The daughter aspect is a very interesting surprise. I don't trust Waller. Like, I felt the sincerity in their Zoom Skype call, but I felt like, for what we know of this woman so far, like, I really feel like she would just put her on the line and, like, sacrifice her even. Like,
Her own daughter?
Yeah, like, Waller's she's so, like, devious and, like, has her own agenda. Like, we've seen it countless times in all these different, mediums so far. So
this is blood, though. This is her daughter.
That's true. That's true. I'm intrigued to see how this kind of plays out. Like, what are her skills? Like, why would Waller put her in this scenario? Is it just because it's the only person she can trust or whatnot? Like, obviously this is big when you're dealing with significant human individuals that are corrupted and possessed by these entity things. I think, okay, you do want someone you can trust on the inside. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly is going on, and the dynamic too, because we see all of these people are just bad mouthing Waller, and now this girl's got to just listen to them attack her mom and see this side of her mom that she's never seen before. So how is she going to deal with that? How's she going to adapt to that? So
it's definitely going to slip at one moment, too. They're going to find out that she's the daughter, and that's probably going to be a point of contention and stuff. And there's one thing of Stephen Foyer shouting out, "You can't see me," to John Cena's wrestling career. Yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself. Could be a good character arc to see her become more like her mom. Yeah, and it's going to, I think where it's going to play off is we had that great scene, I feel, after they had that restaurant meet cute, where everybody so far, you have John, who him and Peacemaker have like kind of a butting heads situation. You have, I can't remember the blonde's name. She's played by Jessica Hall, and that's James Gunn's girlfriend, which I will say, I'm happy she's good in the show, because I always get worried sometimes when people put their significant others in like a big role, and you're like, oh, is this just because like you guys are a couple and you want to get some work? But then when she's in the show, I go, oh, I actually really like her. But she's very hardcore. There you go. She's like quite annoyed at Peacemaker. Like, she's not a fan of Peacemaker. It seems like episode 3 she was maybe finally starting to warm up to him a little, but up until 1 and 2 she's like, yeah, you're fucking murder. Like, I'm not having sex with you. Like, I have zero interest. Like, there was no flirting whatsoever. He was trying his best to, like, even get like a chuckle out of her, and it was nothing. She was dead serious. So then it was episode 1, I think, when they leave the restaurant, he's like talking to Waller's daughter, and they're striking up a conversation and laughing, and it's not in a flirty way, it's just building a bond. So I think that's gonna go for it. But also you have him dealing with his dad, you could have her dealing with her mom. I think that's gonna bond those two even more as far as being closer and trusting each other, so that'll be good. I will say one of the moments I just fucking burst out laughing is in episode 3, when they're getting the briefing of what's going to happen with his family, what the butterflies might be. She has her iPad and she's going through all the photos of the mission, and it's just a picture of her wife's private area just completely exposed, just like a full-on nude vagina just on the screen. And it was John Cena's reaction to it, and he's just like, whoa. And then she's like, sorry, I didn't know you could upload it to it like that. And then just all like,
I feel like those moments are completely improv too. Like, just, I feel like James Gunn's like, okay, we're gonna just in these settings do something completely outrageous and just react to it. So
yeah.
And if they're not, that shows how good John Cena is in this role, because it feels like that. It doesn't feel like a staged joke, and those are the best ones in that show. So far, I'm liking that character. We get established she's a wife. Her and her wife are having problems because she's taking this job where it's, she's long distance. But yeah, I'm interested to see where all that goes. Anytime Waller's around, it's not that I'm saying shit's gonna hit the fan, but it just is a nice wrinkle into the show.
I agree. Yeah, no,
Where-
that
oh,
one
good.
definitely made me burst.
Mhm.
And I agree. I think it was John Cena's reaction actually, how it just felt so natural. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
Where
he
we
was
want to? Oh, go ahead.
he was like, oh, it's like, oh, it's a, pardon my French, it was a vagina. He's like, oh, but like a lesbian vagina. Like he just started like freaking out about it specifically.
Where do we want to go next?
maybe another scene that just actually made me burst out laughing was when John Cena takes home the butterfly, and they're just boning in the bathroom, and he's just screaming out freedom. That's just so great for the character of just just represent America, just
Mhm.
believing in freedom. That was so great. And then what followed was him like dancing naked in the ladies' living room there, and then just like slowly we can see her moving around the background, and I figured to myself there's something that's going to go on. And then when she grabbed the knife, I was expecting her to just run at him, but then she kind of disappears for a second. I'm like, where's this scene going? And then no, she actually attacks him, and
He got fucked up. He got stabbed
he
multiple
did
times.
get fucked up.
He
was
got
looking
stabbed
like
to the
Boba
point
in
where it
last
was like,
episode.
100%. He got stabbed so many times where like if this was a finale, I would have worried he was gonna die because she was just she was fucking him up. Like he got stabbed in like the what the not the hamstring, the tricep. He got stabbed in oh my god, why am I forgetting the muscle right behind your lower leg here?
The calf.
The calf. He got stabbed in the chest. He got cut a bunch. Man, not
Yeah,
good.
he got fucked up, and then I mean he already had a bad arm.
Yeah.
So all that was just like crazy, and then like what rounded out that entire sequence was him just using his helmet there, and that I got to say that is the most powerful shockwave ability I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
That was so gruesome, and it kind of just made me in shock because I was like, holy fuck, that just happened.
The shockwave has the power of like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen, how Manhattan would just stick out his hand and just like blow people up. That's what this helmet did, you know? And I haven't watched it back because Emily and I are going to because she hasn't seen them. But when you point on the vodka stream, and I did go back to watch, but I'm excited to see watching an episode when they're having sex and he's just yelling out freedom and stuff like that. Like he's such a there's such good shit like that. I just wanted to shout out. Hope I'll say this right. Big Wumbo on the real shit. You guys make the first 5 hours of Work a Breeze. Big ups, boys. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much.
Aw,
Haven't seen you in the chat
Thank you.
before, but appreciate it. I've been there. My current job, I don't get to listen to podcasts, but I've been at jobs where you are dirt bored, literally when I was landscaping and mowing the lawn for hours, and podcasts help. So if we can do that, thank you very much. I thought I had some point around the the meta-human and whatnot. Yeah, I liked all that scene. Like I've talked about the vodka stream where it reminded me of Family Guy. I loved him kept falling when he had to escape and falling and falling and falling multiple times. It was good. And I like too that the other characters are saving him, not in a way where it's like, oh, he's weak, just in a way that they look like they know their stuff, and it's also he needs some help because he's a trained assassin, but he's like him going up against a meta-human. I'm sure he's done it before, but it's still higher power level, right? It's not like he is a let's say for some reason, Aquaman decided look at Deadpool. Deadpool's an assassin, but he also has like heightened strength. All of these things where it's like, okay, this makes sense. He is healing. Why he could be assassin because you don't really want to mess with him. Peacemaker is still just a dude. As far as we know right now, he has gadgets and he has like a mini Peacemaker cave that his father introduced him to, but he's just a dude. So I like that he got fucked up. I love the scene of we saw in the previews, but him dancing to all the music in his underwear and stuff, and he's just and the when he found the vibrator and he thought I can't remember what he thought it was. He said something like, "Oh, this is a weird whatever." And he was singing into and everything like that. And then we got that joke almost earlier with Vigilante when he picked up the fleshlight. He's like, look at the smiley face. Like, again, it's showing kind of how similar they are, even though, like, Peacemaker, he's not pushing away, but he feels like Peacemaker is, like, very, like big time in him. Like, he's so much better than him. So, good little joke there.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, do you have anything to add?
You mentioned something that reminded me of a previous sequence again at the beginning. Speaking on the note of Aquaman, he's talking to the janitor, and he just spouts out that rumor like, "Oh yeah, like I know this guy. He owns a fish store," and Aquaman pops in, gives him like $50 and just fucks a fish or something like that.
Well, he has that. He calls Batman a pussy for not killing people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I hated this win around so much. And I was happy some like a very popular female writer pointed this out. There's a scene coming up at some point where Peacemaker's like talking to a classroom, and they like ask him about Wonder Woman, and he's like, "Yeah, she was eye fucking the shit me once at this party." And there's so many people like, "Oh man, they're taking Wonder Woman down. She's this like very strong, powerful character." And it's like, no, it's not. They're taking Wonder Woman down. They're kind of taking Peacemaker down because like he's a lying piece of shit. Like how Red Guardian and Black Widow was always like, "Yeah, I fought with Captain America," and it was always like, "Yeah, did this happen?" That's Peacemaker's life. He is that name dropper guy of he wants to be a Justice Leaguer. He wants to be one of the main guys, but he's not. He's a B-level guy. The fact that he bumps into multiple people and they have no fucking idea who Peacemaker is. Where if you look at Suicide Squad, because there are other assassins and bad guys, when they say this is Peacemaker and we've, taken him in, people just kind of, I think, assume like, okay, I guess he is just some like guy out there doing stuff. But even when you think about it, he thinks he's a hero, but look at Suicide Squad. The reason those people are there with chips in their necks is because they're criminals and they've done bad things. And that's where he's on that side where he's probably done a bunch of stuff, whether it was linked to his dad or whatnot, that he thought was heroic, but really wasn't. So when he's in Suicide Squad, he still thinks he's a hero. I think he almost has like convinced himself like he's undercover with the squad and he's one of the good guys, but he really isn't. And he's like, it's kind of, that's what I've liked. We've talked about this a little bit, but I like the show so far of, yeah, those jokes are funny about Aquaman and Batman, but hopefully this will be the turn of him actually becoming a hero and not lying about this stuff. Now, I feel that's always going to be there because I feel like this character is a fucking douchebag, but, hopefully it'll be kind of more of a douchebag with a heart, stuff like that. So,
Absolutely.
let's see. Yeah, why would Pepe the Frog 89 lie to me? That was good. And then the other one I wanted to shout out to was the interrogation scene with Vigilante and him, because they kill the family members, they go in. And I love that. Again, it just goes to Peacemaker's kind of attitude when the guy...
Oh.
Oh, shit. I died.
It was like perfect timing.
Yeah, while I died. Actually, let's take an ad break, and then I'll get into this point. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So before I was cut off, I loved the back and forth of the villain being like, "Oh yeah, you ready for this? You want some more?" And he would turn around, making it seem like he's threatening Peacemaker, like he's gonna go to him next. And then then he always goes back to Vigilante, and he's just like sacrificing Vigilante, his toes and stuff like that. And again, I feel he will be. Do you guys feel he'll ever be a full-on antagonist, even if it's smaller? Or do you think he's just always going to be kind of the punching bag for Peacemaker in this show?
Vigilante?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be the main threat, ever really.
Taylor?
I mean, I can't see it. To me, he doesn't even feel like a threat. Like when you're dealing with a worldwide ending kind of like entity here, I feel like that just takes precedence. Vigilante just seems like the guy behind the dumpster who just pops in like, I don't trust these guys, just sticking out his neck out line for Peacemaker.
So what I think could happen is not even the finale, or it's season 2, that they could fix this whole butterfly situation. But Waller, it's going to get back to Waller that Peacemaker couldn't take the shot. And there may be more missions come up where Peacemaker puts him in danger because he won't get it done. I wonder if Vigilante gets pulled to the side or pulled in the operation and he's told, hey, you can be with us, you can be whatever you want to be, but we want you to take out Peacemaker. And it could be this real big thing for Vigilante because it's like his idol and stuff. And that's two ways. Either it's a big thing because it's his idol and he has to do this and it's like a little dramatic, or that makes him not kill Peacemaker and they kind of team up and stuff. But I do think whether it's this season or next season, Vigilante will be ordered to kill Peacemaker. And I think it's going to happen. And then we'll see what type of route he is.
But Vigilante doesn't have like anything in him like the Waller place there, like no chips or exploding mine things.
No,
right?
but it could be the chance at the big times, right? You want to be one of the, you want to be the next Peacemaker, because in his world, Peacemaker is the fucking man. Apparently,
They could easily too just arrest Vigilante, and then that's how they got a chip in him or something, and then he gets kind of just brought into the Suicide Squad. Like they've already mentioned just how bad of a guy he is, and just all the laws he's kind of breaking, going about his day.
Superman Mike says, I want to know how his dad created all that tech. That's very advanced for a boomer like him. I don't know if it'll be he created it. I think it could be just a thing that clearly he's going to have a lot of connections. Like he gets into prison and right away, I love how they frame it. It looks like people are going to like fuck him up, but then they just walk over and kneel to him. And it's like, and the police are like, what have we done? Like they're even like, oh, did you take him to the right jail, and like, oh no, they couldn't do this. Like it almost insinuated he was going to a different prison and he had the power to reroute it so he could end up in this prison. And that's where I don't think he created the tech necessarily. I think he just probably has a lot of powerful people or just friends that are probably also
Oh, there he is.
that are probably uber racist. I'll just pick right up and did that. Do you guys have any theories on how he got all that tech? Because yeah, that exploding helmet and plus there's other ones we haven't even seen. So
Yeah, it was quite the crazy little bat cave type thing that he had there. That kind of blew my mind. It was so advanced. It's like basically over Tony Stark level. Like it was just so blowing my mind that he even had that, and that he wasn't just using it for his own nefarious methods. I I was baffled. I don't know how he got that. He doesn't come across as someone that just made it himself. Maybe
No.
that's me stereotyping who can do that. But yeah, I'm sure it'll get explained, especially now that the breadcrumbs are being dropped that there's more to the dad as opposed to just being a racist dad. Like he's gonna be some sort of opposing force to Peacemaker in the show, and yeah, I'm excited for that reveal.
well, how do you feel about that, Taylor?
I'm certainly intrigued. Again, like the dad is obviously he's got a larger secret, obviously, that I'm trying to learn, trying to understand. But yeah, how is he able to develop all this technology? Because that sonic boom helmet puts an overshield over the wearer and just absolutely decimates. I'm very excited to see how that comes out. That's another thing too. Like John Cena doesn't really wear the helmets that much in this show. He really operates with them off, considering that's like his main thing is to use these helmet abilities.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to shout out because we talked about on the vodka stream, but I love that his guns and stuff didn't have the piece of dove,
Yeah.
and he had to draw them all the
That was
dove
so
of peace. Where,
funny.
yeah, he had to draw them all on, and just stuff like that. Like that's the little stuff we talk about too, where those jokes really land for me. So I love too just the meaning more behind the dove and his iconography and stuff like that.
I like too how he like brought it back when he was about to take the shot, and he's just like freaking out, like he can't take it. He's like, "Show him the dove." Like that's like the one reason why he can't go through it. That it was, it
Yeah.
was great.
And as was about my vigilante thing is I feel like Peacemaker could kill him pretty easily. A Big Wumbo says, I agree, but you could see him getting petty or pretty big arc in the future. The only reason I could see him not killing Vigilante pretty easily is because just he may not know what's coming, right? And Vigilante might do something that gets to jump on or does it secretly. So, yeah, anything else you guys want to shout out for the first 3 episodes? Let me look at my notes. I think there was one joke I knew I didn't shout out yet.
Yeah, I'm probably missing 1 or 2 jokes that I'm gonna be kicking myself for forgetting, but who knows? Maybe I'll remember them, mention them on an earlier episode. I think the one thing I was gonna mention was the first joke that really had me laughing hard was actually like really early on, like when he was in the hospital. It was definitely the Aquaman joke, and also just like him feeling so small about his muscles, and how again the janitor is like, "Come on, look at you! You look way too like beefy to be a superhero. Superheroes look like a gymnast body." And he was just talking about how you can't see his small muscle groups, and just that like it came up a couple more times in the episode. It just that one kind of got to me because yeah, John Cena is just so fucking big. Like he's so absurdly big,
yeah.
especially when he's just in his tidy whities. Like you just realize like how fucking big his arms are and everything. It just looks strange.
So the 2 jokes that I wanted to shout for me when it was episode 2, I think it was, after he slept with the metahuman, killed her, everything like that, and they're interrogating him, be like, "Oh, why did you do this?" and stuff like that, and he's like, "Oh, you let some random woman see this file," and Cena goes, "She's not some random that," or he says like, "Oh, I can't remember the full setup, but the line they fall afterwards, she's not some random that blew me. We full on fucked, dude." And the way he just says it is just it's serious. There's no humor. Like it's so serious to him, and the guy's just like, "Man, what the fuck are we dealing with?" And again, probably because that's why we're forgetting some stuff because we talked about it on Friday already. But was the joke with that couple he made a hostage of, and just the looks where they're talking, and she says some sort of compliment. And then John Cena's like looks at her, and she's looking at him like really horny, and John Cena's like very confused, like he doesn't know how to read this situation. And then like there's all this back and forth, and you kind of think the joke's done when they when Waller's daughter goes and says like, "Oh, you didn't see this guy, you didn't think of him," blah blah blah. And then we just cut to like the ending of an episode where him and Vigilante had a 3-way with this guy's wife. They're just smoking a cigarette, and it's just like that was another moment where I'm like, man, this show's gonna be fucking crazy because I thought the joke was done, and even with I thought we'd get payoff, I didn't think it would be that, and just that they just did this thing. I was like, man, that was bravo, very well done.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you remembered to bring that one up because that was definitely one of the ones I was forgetting about. That whole dynamic with the couple is just so wacky. I did not know where that was gonna go. Like when he first broke into their apartment there, but fuck, it got hilarious. Especially just how they just became like the most hateful couple. Like they were just bickering for the entire rest of the show, and then yeah, just how it ended up with Vigilante, him and the wife there. That was just so ridiculous.
I love Cinderella. You never mention it. I mention it like once a week.
Yeah.
I want to shout out. This is when the show started to get like a little bit more racist too because of White Dragon. But when the two FBI agents were at the door and the one lady, like he addresses her as chopsticks, which is so absolutely racist and just inappropriate. But with her comeback, and I just really chuckled, like, "Well, you're a fork." The guy's like, "Why didn't you go with a spoon?" It's just so funny how she just came back with that.
I love
Yeah.
that it was the guy too from Scary Movie 1. I forget his name,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I love when he just appears in whatever media.
Do you guys, Superbad Mike says, do you guys think we will see other Suicide Squad cameos? And Taylor, Big One Bub says, shout out to Cryptic Clues. So there you go. Getting
Yeah.
some love there. Go check that out. I really don't think so. Like, I'm going to say of new footage, I really don't. If we do, I think it would be like an end credit of the finale and would just be something stupid and fun. Like, I don't think it would actually be like, oh, an episode featuring Bloods. I think it would just be like, oh, some sort of cameo to have a fun scene or something. So if there's a gun to my head, I'll say no, but I think season 2 could be likely. But I'll say no right now.
I'm trying to think of who is still kicking out of the Suicide Squad. Help me remember.
Quinn, Ratcatcher, King Shark, Bloodsport. I think that's it for the Survivor.
Harley.
Yeah, Harley, but Margot
Yeah.
Robbie's not appearing in this. That would be a huge get, but I don't think Margot's going to be in this. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think no. I just out of those characters, there's no one's really jumping out to me.
So
that could
what
possibly appear in this?
could it be possible of like what if he had like a Dexter like situation with a Weasel? Weasel has a good shot out of all
yeah,
of them.
that's true.
Yeah, but what if it was like a dream sequence or a talking with his conscience, like Rick Flag or something like that? A character that he killed and he's struggling
Yeah.
with, right? I could see something like that. I feel like Weasel is really possible, but yeah, it's I
Yeah,
don't know.
Weasel's definitely very possible. It's so easy to pop him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Rick Flag has been mentioned quite a bit already in the first episode, I think it was. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Which I
'cause
like. That death's not in vain.
yeah.
It's a
No,
big
exactly.
moment, you know.
It's a character that I didn't really care for,
Mm-hmm.
but he's showing some significance for a different character, just the everlasting effect that he had due to his death. Yeah.
Taylor, anyone you think could cameo?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't see it being any of the bigger heavy hitters, but I could see someone, like Weasel or something like that. I would love Ratcatcher to appear in there, but I doubt that because last time they encountered each other, he was trying to kill Ratcatcher.
Yeah.
So I wish Polka Dot Man was still kicking because he was just such a great character, and I'd love to see him in this. But yeah, probably like flashbacks to like Rick Flag or something along those lines. I had another thing I wanted to shout out. Oh my god, why can't I remember it?
While you're
shit.
thinking, I can ask you a Star Wars question, both of you. Just
Yeah.
do Wookiees actually have teeth on their assholes? According to Peacemaker, it says canon.
I have not read that one, but I'm not the canon junkie, so maybe George did that.
That line was funny. And
Yeah,
also
there-
just Judo Master in general. I really love that character and all like the back and forth dialogue that him and Peacemaker had in the cave when he was just eating flaming hot Cheetos and he was just whipping them out of his face. Fuck, that was good. What do they make those out of? Jeez.
Taylor, did you think of your thought?
I did, yeah. Big thing, like I'm huge into the Mandela effect, and so when they start breaking into the Berenstain Bears thing, I love that, and I love that every time like it would escalate because then James Gunn's girlfriend would be like, "Oh, the Berenstain Bears on the column." Like it was just, I thought it would be a one and done thing, and then it came back and it kept coming back, and it was just hilarious. So
Yeah, I love that because Emily and I have had that exact same conversation in our life, so that was good.
are you a Stain or a Stein?
I think I'm Berenstein Bears.
Berenstain.
Yeah, that's where I am. Where are you, Kirkland?
I'm kind of 50-50. I think in my mind, I just think of it as Berenstein Bears. I think that's the way I remember saying it as a young Ute.
I just want, this has nothing to do with Peacemaker, but I want to shout this out because I don't think Taylor knows. He Big Wumbo says, "Are you guys reviewing Archive 81? Have you heard of this show, Taylor?"
Honestly, when I read that Archive 81, I was like, is that a Batman comic we're gonna be reading? But clearly, I'm wrong.
So I don't know if we'll be. We definitely wouldn't be reviewing it by episode to episode. I think we may on a newscast. Taylor and I may do like a mini cutout or talk about it at some point in the future. It's a Netflix horror show produced by James Wan.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know if it's Big Wumbo. If you're in the chat, tell me if it's out, if it just came out, or it's about to come out. But yeah, it seems like it's about possession and stuff like that, but a TV show. So I literally just saw that on my Twitter feed today. I wouldn't know what it is. So I probably will check it out at some point. I'm right now in the middle of a deep watch of Euphoria, so I got to get through that because I'm binging one season. Man, I'm having a great time. But Kirkland, you'll like it. If you're a Zendaya guy, you should be all over that show.
No, I
100%.
wanted to watch it. Just the way you said it hurt my ears. Euphoria? Is that what you said?
Euphoria.
Oh, I heard a Thor in there. I'm glad you
It's
said
internet
it properly.
connections. Euphoria.
Internet connection, yeah. No, I asked Shay if she'd watch it with me. She says no. It's a little too. It's pretty graphic and raw, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's very.
She's a
over
softie.
The top.
She's a
yeah,
softie.
get her
She
one
watches
episode,
like
she'll be
Emily in
hooked.
Paris. That's her type of show.
But
Yeah, no, I want to watch it for sure. I've only heard good things. about it.
What is the show that you said she watches?
Emily in Paris.
You know that's Phil Collins' daughter.
I did actually.
Yeah.
I googled. Yeah.
What were you googling about? No.
I said, "What is this chick in?" Because she seems familiar in a weird way. And it's
Yeah, she's also
clearly
Snow
Phil
White
Collins.
at some point, and she was in that terrible fucking Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie. Remember?
That's right. That's what I remembered her from. Because I couldn't remember
Yes.
where I saw her from. But yeah, she was a love interest. That's
Yeah.
right. Good pull.
Binge
Fuck
it in
that
one day.
movie.
It's out in fucking fire. Well, that's good. No, I think I will have the list. So maybe we might talk about in the future. We're hoping that we may do a town hall about this. We might have a kind of fun, chill. I don't want to say too much. There might be more newscasts where we kind of have a more general topics and conversations, and I'd love to do like a what are we watching, what are we playing, and sort of like the days where we don't have news and stuff like that. Obviously, there's gonna be big news drops, but we might be adding more content in the next few months that covers some more news. So yeah, content is king, baby. Anything else on this show?
No, I'm ready for next week.
So we'll be back next week. I think this will probably, we are not doing the midnight reviews like Disney Plus because like I like the show, but it reminds me very much of like we'll see when we get the first episode. But I've said the same thing about Miss Marvel. Like I feel like when we get to Miss Marvel, it's gonna be like, oh, I don't think I want to review it, but I don't think it'll be like, man, like that's it. As again, I think the show is not gonna be world breaking. It's not gonna be like, man, I gotta make sure I stay up to not get spoiled. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm excited for next week. So next week, I think we'll probably be on the live YouTube. We'll get into Formula reviewing on Thursday. It'll drop on the Friday before the weekend, so you can follow along there. Taylor, you look like you're itching to say something.
Well, I was gonna say like I need to be awake to enjoy these jokes. But it's like
Yeah.
1 a.m. I'm like pants off, like what's going
Pants
on?
off. Wow.
Yeah, in my like boxers, you know.
Oh, okay, sure.
Just down to the ankles.
Pants off. Choking himself. This is for you, Bush. But anyway, so
Freedom.
Awaken Mass and up to freedom. There's a podcast that the Netflix show is based on. Oh, there you go. I won't listen to Big One Bub because my podcast fucking back filter is completely filled. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night live for probably around this time for a big newscast. We got a Moon Knight trailer dropping, boys, and it's gonna be good.
Hell
we got
yes.
Fantastic Four rumors. We got a bunch of stuff. There'll be a Scream review on the feed. So we promise when you hear from us next, not be boring.
Bye bye.
Peace.